Everybody stop what you're doing, please!
When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is no better show on your radio. This is Around the House with Eric G.
Where's the hammer?
From your back fence to the sidewalk, Eric will tell you how to keep it all in tip-top shape while helping you save a buck while doing it. If you like DIY projects, it takes a lot of practice to get good at it, and Eric is here to guide the way.
Is it on the, go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering.
All that and more on the fastest 2 hours of home improvement radio.
These are the wrong plans. These are the old plans. Oh!
Welcome to
Stop it!
Around the House with Eric G.
Welcome to Around the House with Eric G. This is the Pro Insider. This is for all the contractors, residential, could be design firm, could be that you work in a retail or business-to-business establishment. This is for the residential construction, design, and building industry. Thanks for joining us today. You know, if you listen to Around the House with Eric G., this is our little special that we do each and every week on Thursdays that talk about the trades, contracting, and all those different things. And today I wanted to talk about something that I'm seeing more and more happening. I'm seeing more and more complaints out in the industry. And that is, we have some problems with the contracting and design community right now. And I just want to bring this up and talk about the elephant in the room. And we're developing a little bit of an integrity issue out there is what I call it. So we're going to talk about that today and how to combat that within your organization to make sure it's getting handled. What am I talking about? I'm talking about ghosting. Let's say a potential client calls you up. You could be a kitchen and bath designer, interior designer, residential remodeler, handyman, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Somebody gives you a call up and says, hey, I'm Mrs. Smith, and I need somebody to come out for X. Can you come out and give me an estimate? We have a huge problem, and this happens all the time when we get busy, overwhelmed. We have more leads coming in than we could possibly handle, and we don't have the right systems in place to deal with it correctly. So Mrs. Smith calls up, and you say, okay, yeah, hey, I'll give you a call back when I get back in the office. Nothing happens. You forget. You get busy. Oh, I'll call her tomorrow. I'll call her tomorrow. I'll call her the next day. Then it gets to the point where you're so embarrassed it's been 2 or 3 days you don't call them back, and they get ghosted. To me, that's a little bit of an integrity issue. Let's talk about how do we combat that, because that is a potential lead that you're paying marketing, advertising, all of those things for. So if you are a small contractor, maybe that phone number goes right to your phone, and maybe you are out in meetings all day. There's a very simple and cost-effective solution to manage those leads. Hiring an answering service. There's all these digital answering services that are in your hometown or your area. Ruby Receptionist is one out there. There's a ton of different companies. I just about guarantee in your metro area there's one around you. And they will answer the phone as your company. They will know what your schedule is that day because they can look at it. And what they do is they answer the phone, they take the message, they text you that you've got a message, and they email you that you've got a message. Well, now you've got that recorded where you can call them back and set something up. Now, what you need to be doing is every day, set in your schedule, if this is your job, as a business owner, manager, designer, estimator, set in your day a certain part of your schedule for returning phone calls. Set it up. Make that meeting. Make sure you have a system for leads. I don't care if you're old school and you're printing out that thing off your computer And you've got a stack right there of ones that you haven't been able to contact yet. And then you stay in there and get in contact with them all before you go home. Make the time. If they don't call you back, that stays in that active pile, and you call them every day until they do. Now, after a week or something, if they don't, you can call it dead and move on. But give it your best effort. We have a huge problem in our industry right now of people being so busy and potential customers falling through the cracks. I'm hearing of people calling 5 and 6 contractors. Not a single one calls them back. We got to fix that, because that harms our industry as a whole. It harms your business personally as a whole, and your integrity a little bit, because you're not doing what you say you're going to do. If somebody calls you up, you should call them back and find out what they need. What do they have going? What's their project? You've already got them 80% of the way. They called you. The rest of that is you got to find a solution for them they can afford, and figure out a way to connect with them and make sure that you get the job, especially when other people aren't calling them back as well. Now, they might not be a good fit for your company, and there's no problem with weeding those out. But just ghosting them is not the answer. I would have a rule in your organization that everyone gets return call no matter what in one business day within 24 hours. And if you've got to call somebody and be 5 minutes late to a meeting because you're on a phone call, communicate them. If you're going to be more than 2 or 3 minutes late to a meeting, let the consumer know that you're running late. They'll understand it. Traffic happens. Meetings run over. That's okay. But we've got to do a better job in the industry out there as a whole so it doesn't damage everyone else's reputation. And it's good business practice. And using your schedule like a meeting for follow-up is the key to making this work. If you put in there meeting time that you don't move, maybe it's 3 to 4 p.m., whatever your time zone is, you're calling people back from the day. Make that a meeting that you don't move, or if you do, you move it and don't push it to the next day. Set some company standards within your organization for that to happen. Because that is massive loss of business if you're not careful. And nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see money just washing out the door. And then I want to see something even more important. If you've got company issues with an upset potential client or client, you should have a 90-minute rule on returning that phone call. Because I'll tell you what, in the construction industry dealing with homeowners, 75% or so of those problems can be fixed quickly if you respond quickly. That is the worst part of problems, when people get scared to call their client back. And it gets brutal. You took a bad situation, and if you don't call them back for 48 hours, you just escalated that and let that fire turn in. I mean, maybe it was a little smoldering fire that was inside your client's head for whatever reason it was. Doesn't even matter. It's legitimate. Doesn't at all. Maybe they're upset about X, right? That's a smoldering fire. In 90 minutes, if you call them back, man, you've addressed it. You've scheduled a time to go out and meet with them in person or a Zoom call or whatever you're doing in your business practice. I get it. But you just turned a smoldering fire into a 5-alarm fire by not calling them back for 48 hours or worse. There's a company I worked with that I no longer work with. But they had some people in that organization in the management structure that they'd wait a week or two. And all of a sudden, that little misunderstanding turned into a complaint with the contractors board because they wouldn't return phone calls and ghosted them. That could have been solved so easily, quickly. So make sure that you're managing your incoming leads. Make sure that people calling you get to talk to a human. And don't look away from that answering service. For the little bit it costs you a month, I promise you that's going to make you a ton more money back in happy clients and potential new customers. That is where you can save some money and build your business bigger. Maybe one day you can hire somebody to fit that spot in your organization. But that is your key to keeping consumers happy that you're dealing with. All right, well, that's all we got for this week in the Pro Insider. Thanks for listening today. Make sure you catch the show this weekend. We have got on Around the House a big show ahead. Make sure you catch that. We're going to be talking about, are old homes built better than new homes? That debate is always a big one, as well as some graffiti cleanup, and then building an emergency damage kit for your home. You know, something to get things locked down in case you had some damage until the insurance company comes out. All that and more on this weekend's Around the House with Eric G. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the week. Happy Thursday. Thanks for listening to Around the House.
Around the House with Eric G. is produced by, designed by Eric G. in association with Salem Media and distributed nationally by the Sun Broadcast Group. All rights reserved. Copyright designed by Eric G. We will be back next week. If you missed part of the show, check out the podcast of all of our shows at AroundTheHouseOnline.com. Remember, measure with a micrometer, mark with caulk, and cut with an axe. Thanks for listening to Around the House.